welcome to Let's Go. This is the sleepy version, episode 17.
Episode 17. This is the sleepy version because I know you mentioned like your week last week was rough. I had like
cow.
last week, and for me, when I say rough, it wasn't rough from a standpoint of like bad things happened. It was rough from a standpoint of a lot of things came to fruition.
Yeah.
And which was awesome. And I was like, dude, I need to recover.
Yeah.
Recovery day.
No, same. You actually tried to get me to work yesterday, and I put a hard stop on you.
Yeah.
No, so I had probably one of the best weeks maybe I've ever had as a business owner last week. The week before sucked. Like, I'm telling you, the week before, I came home one day and like 1 o'clock, and I just laid in bed, and I was like, I don't know that I want to do this anymore. Like, miserable. Called some of my like close, friends, and like, one of them said a few things to me. I don't remember exactly what it was. They were just very encouraging and all that. But then it's amazing that like God's like, all right, like I've given him enough hell. Like it's because you heard about a lot of it in the in last week's podcast, like just the drama and all that. And so that just sucked. And then this last week, it was really cool. Every company made money. So that's rare. Like there was only one company that I own that did not pay an owner draw this month. And that company's brand new in its building. So it's not, we're in the investment phase, but I think in 2 to 3 years, it's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited about it. But so I've just never had that where every company paid out. And then one of the things that we do for realtors on the team is, I'll help them invest if they don't have the money or they don't have the know-how, flips, rentals, short terms, whatever. And 2 of my realtors brought me deals, and I was like, all right, let's go look at them. And so I underwrote the deal for them, presented them like, hey, this is what everything's going to cost. Here's our approximate net. And I was like, but I mean, here you go. Here's the data.
That's
I
right.
do that for free.
That's
right?
right. Yeah.
That doesn't cost anything. That's just what I do to help them. And
it's value add.
Yeah, both of them were like, we need a little help with funding. And I was like, okay, like, you want to take me on as a partner? Like, I can fund it, I can run it, I can, like, how much do you want me to do? And I'll talk to you about what my partnership looks like. And so, anyway, so last week, I signed over $1 million in contracts on investments. And that's exciting for me.
Yeah.
I like investing.
Well, so in a couple of things that I'd like to point out for anybody that's listening to this, First off, if you're listening to this, super honored. I received a text message that I'm going to read in just a minute, and that I woke up to this morning at like 7 or 7:32, and I was like,
can I guess who it was from?
Because
Oh, was it she? Oh, never mind. I thought it was Justin.
No.
Justin is our biggest fan.
Oh my God. Oh, he's getting a shirt.
He's got to.
Yeah.
I think Justin Gwynn is this podcast mascot.
He really is.
Yeah.
He really is. We need to have him on one day.
I saw him at I was going to get all the dog food I dropped off at your house.
Oh my gosh, so much dog food. Yeah.
Yeah. So Alivia takes care of Bruno when I go out of town, and
he comes and plays with all my puppies.
Yeah, and I think honestly she and her dogs like it just as much as Bruno does. Yeah. And but we're friends. She just does it to be nice, and it does save me a ton of money and headache. And I know that Bruno's not a kennel, and I love that because he's playing and he loves you. Like, he whines when she leaves. And I was like, I went to
Tractor Supply.
Yeah, because I needed food for my house. They don't carry my brand, and I was like, you know what I should do? I should show some gratitude to Alivia today. So I don't know how many bags I buy.
It was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, it was a lot of bags.
Yeah,
and then got her. A gift card that she could go buy more food and toys for her dogs, because I still was on the good end of this deal. Like, I did the math. I was like, I mean, it's 50% off. I'm good. So anyway, no, but thank you for that. It allows me to go do what I do. Here's the reason I started talking about that. I told y'all this was the sleepy version.
Yes. Okay. So Justin.
I ran into Justin in the front door, gave the dude a big old hug. I just love that dude. And he's so nice. He sent me a nice message the other day, or was it last night or the night before, talking about our last podcast. I'm like, do you watch every episode?
He does. Well, so by the way, he did send me a message last night about it, and he loved the Golden Girls conspiracy. So boom. Would. And he's younger than you, so he knew. Yeah,
but you talking to your people when you talking to him on that kind of stuff.
That's probably true.
If we ever bring him on the show, y'all will understand.
Yes. So he and I have talked about just starting a podcast. I think but for like silliness.
Yeah.
So like I don't know if anybody's seen like the "Are you a asshole?" or "Are you a those types of things, like people will go on Reddit and type in. And we were talking, and I was like, but just because it's funny because he's very, how would you describe Justin? He's very like monotone. And I don't know, but he's funny. I don't know how to describe him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he loved the Golden Girls thing. But no, so like this is for anybody who's listening to the podcast. First off, the fact that you would give us, I don't care if you've listened to it and fast forward, the fact that you were even listening, a great honor. And again, if you're listening, you're watching this on YouTube, please like, but please comment. Let us know what you like. I know we're going to start, we talked last week about updating the format a little bit, where we're going to say, hey, this is what we're focusing on today versus like everything.
We talked about like, hey, we may actually do some preaching on here. So we may give you 3 bullet points in a sermon, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, so love this. And so this, I got this text message from Kelsey.
Oh, I did talk to her last night.
Yeah. She said, so actually it was at night. She sent it to me last night. I got it this morning. She said, so I just listened to today's podcast y'all released, and woo, like that. She said, I had good tears listening to y'all. My sister also listened and said she was proud to hear someone else say what she always thought. Thank y'all for everything y'all have done to level up my life and business. I always believe in making the best better. And like, it took me 2 hours from the time I read that to like, I was like, it hit me in my feels. It took me 2 hours to be able to respond. And I still feel like my response was like lackluster, because I'm like, how do I convey that?
She sent me a very similar message.
Are you trying to up my up me on gratitude?
I'm not, but you said that you had a lackluster response, and I don't think I did.
I just meant like my response was okay, but it's hard to convey.
Yeah,
what that meant to me, for her saying that, and for
when your soul melts, but your mouth can't come up with the right words to say, hey, you just melted my soul. Like, thank you, because this is the reason I do what I do.
Yeah. Actually, that would have been a great response. Thanks for that. I'm gonna have to text her again.
Some may call me an excellent communicator. Not sure. No, I said it's me who should be thanking you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to move this business forward through giving me back my time, teamwork. And then she responded this morning. No, it was after I went to sleep. She responded with, makes the dream work hard.
Yeah.
And no, Kelsey's awesome.
She really is. And yeah, so again, like the fact that people are listening and they're taking things away from it, I just think that's super cool. And
even at like the small level that we're doing it, like, I can only imagine the people who are like real influencers, we're fake influencers, not real influencers. And, we're not fake. We're just influencing on a smaller level. But I can't imagine the people who like really have this massive voice online, like what people gather. Cause I can tell you, like Ben Kinney, like that dude has been a part of my life change. Right. I don't follow him as much anymore.
Yeah. I used to joke that I wanted him to be my first ex-husband.
Oh, I remember you and Brahman used to talk about massive crush on that cat. Yeah. I don't know who he is. Ben Kinney owns Place Realty. It's like a business overlay. So you can be inside a place in any brokerage. So Coldwell Banker can have a place there, even though Ben is a KW guy and he owns like 27 KW franchises.
And he owns so many other businesses outside of that. But he's a super cool dude. And he is introspective, and he's vulnerable. So like he shared about his childhood and about and so, because that's the thing, I mean, and I don't think he is an attractive guy, but it's not even, but he's not like Cody Gibson. Again, I don't know if nobody knows Cody Gibson, but he's not like that level of like workout and model, hey Cody type thing. But he is absolutely,
hey Cody.
Yes. Like Cody talks to you like, hey, the first time I ever saw or heard Cody talk was at a function, and I'm very rare that I'll go and talk to the presenters right then, because I just don't. And now, it's funny enough is as a presenter, I appreciate people coming to talk to me. That's how I know I made an impact.
I stay in the back. I don't say hey to anybody.
Yeah.
I am totally useless at a conference. They're like, it's a networking event. I'm like,
no,
I hide the corner.
Yeah, I don't. Now, maybe afterwards or whatever, but I'm not a networker in that aspect. And yet, but what he was sharing was so good. Like I went up afterwards, and he just got so I told him, I said, I want you to know that I'm just an agent, is what I said. And what you said, he said, he said, you're the person that you're the reason why anybody else gets to do what they do. You're not just and I was like, thank you. I love you. Yeah. I'm going to walk away now because I'm up in the field.
Yeah, but I'm glad he realizes that, though, because, I think people in our organization, like when they hear the word buyer's agent, they cringe, like, I'm just a buyer's agent.
No, there's no just.
Yeah, there is no just. Like, without you, the dream of homeownership doesn't come true. Yeah. Me and Megan were talking the other day, and she's like, well, I'm just ISA. And I was like, whoa, hold up. The ISA and the OSA are the heartbeat of our team.
Yes.
Like, we literally cannot do what we do without you guys. Well, we need to quit saying just and understand that we're a part of, we're a cog, part of a lot of cogs that create a machine that makes the machine run efficiently.
So I think of it as, like, back in the old days, if you think of an org chart, you look, the way that it's drawn, because that's the way we draw things, it's like top down. Mm-hmm. I let everybody know instead, like, we're in the majors, right? It's just written that way, but I want you to, in your mind, think of it as a 3D rendering and lay it over.
And lay it down, yeah.
And now it's like a baseball field. Sometimes, let's say that right fielder. Okay, when you're in T-ball, maybe the right fielder's not the best. But if you look at the pros, I don't care how good that pitcher is, he can't win a game unless his right fielder is badass.
Yeah, the outfield is not a punishment in the majors. That's a skill position.
That's skill. And so it doesn't matter what position you play. So that pitcher might get his name in the paper more. Uh-huh. Everybody has to play their part in order for anybody to win.
Correct.
And that, to me, is when you look at a team or a business, it's not. And then a lot of times, I think business owners don't realize you build your business not from, like, let's say the sales organization. Obviously, you want great salespeople, but the salespeople aren't what keeps your business growing. It is built from your back office, your admin, those people. Like, you got to make sure you're not going through them a lot, and they've got to be amazing, or that's where things fall apart.
Yeah. So the best example I have of this, I actually heard this while I was listening to educational content this week, and they went. There was a group, an interview group, went to NASA, and they were interviewing everybody. And this is right before the moon landing, and the moon landing. What did the Golden Girls say about that? No. So they went to the janitor and they said, hey, what do you do here? And he said, I'm a part of the moon landing team.
Yeah.
And it took everybody a little while to digest that. And they were like, but are you? Like, no. Like, if they're, think about this. You have some of the greatest and best minds on the planet, moon landing, and, and they're doing all that, and, like, what if they go to a dirty bathroom and that ruins their day, right? To where they can't think, and now we're not efficient. And you have to think about that, like, what piece does everyone play, from your lowest position, whatever that may be, to your CEO, to the owner? What is everybody playing all in to the best of their ability for their job description?
And are you appreciating everybody to the best of their ability?
Correct.
Yes, because I think that's the... Friday, I had the opportunity to teach at the chamber. Mm-hmm. And, I was in front of the room, but without the people that made sure that the room was there, without the chamber members, without
the person who made the coffee.
That's right. Without Christopher Kelly, who, when I reached out, he had the communication with me and we set it up. And then without Brittany, who helped everybody, like, all of those things...
It played a role in a successful meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is not, so I think sometimes we can, it's human nature to think, oh, well, that's more important. No, like, there is not we're adults now, we're playing in the majors. Are you bringing whatever your position is, are you playing it at the highest level?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, because there's different talents and personalities and all that, and everybody just fits somewhere, and then you just want everybody to do their job. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We got there. I don't even know how we got there.
That's right.
That was weird.
This is sometimes what retired and how we go.
Oh yeah. So I didn't even finish that part. It was, had a great week. Got to do all that. I got to help agents invest. 2 of them their first investment, so I'm really pumped to help them and show them what's possible through investing. And then yesterday, I took a day off because I already worked 80 plus hours this week, and I knew I had to work today. So I went jet skiing and ended up at someone's house at a pool, and I was there for entirely too long. So I'm tired today.
Yeah.
There's that.
Mm-hmm. Well, so it's interesting. So yesterday when we finished, we I had a 1-day workshop with the company that I coach, and it was just me and the owner, and we were looking at the, where did he want to be in the future? We've got the economic model, so we know how many appointments, how many calls that he needs to have coming into his business. And this is an electric company, right? So how many calls does he need to have coming in? How many bookings do they need to have? How many appointments they need to go on in order to hit the goal? Based on that, how many people you need to have in your organization at what levels to hit that, to make sure you can cover all of that. And then we looked at, finances and being able to see like where this, how much are you spending in the office, how much are you spending in advertising and all of those pieces. And so, but we got, I think 2-ish, we got done, and we had skipped lunch. So like, it was great, but it was just all out there. So I get home and I'm already tired because this whole week was just like late night. I'm staying up to 12, 1 o'clock, making sure that everything's where it needs to be. And, so I get home and I'm thinking, I'm just going to crash.
Yeah.
Well, I get home and my mind's still racing. So I start working on something else. And the next thing I know, it's like 7 o'clock, and I'm like, and my mom's like, I thought you were going to work, today. And I was like, yeah, me too. And then,
no, I refused. I absolutely refused to work.
Well, this afternoon, I don't know. Like, I don't, I'm got Tuesday planned to I've got a run mama to the doctor's office. But other than that, like, my plan is not to work. It'll probably be to fiddle fart around. Like, I had just, remember when Charles was on, he said that at his house, he likes to do some odd jobs like construction or, and for years, I'd never really got that. And I don't know if it's my age or what, but recently I've been on a kick where like I'd never painted a room in my entire life. And a couple years ago, I painted a room and then a hot water heater burst. And but we've got that room done. And but I painted my hallway. I bought some little outlets, and right before my mom went in the hospital, and that's really when you came up to my house, on my porch, you see all those things. Right before she went to the hospital, I had bought a bunch of trim and stuff, and I'm like, so I'm learning how to do trim now. Not because I want that to be my thing, but like that's kind of my relaxation, just fiddling around the house. And so I might do a little bit of that, but as far as like I think like work, I'm gonna turn that off. So my plan was not to do any this afternoon, but my mind's still whirling, so I'll probably end up doing some stuff. We won't do it this is completely different. We won't do this on this podcast. I'm super excited
about.
We're going to do one of our podcasts. We're going to do a piece on generational leadership, how to lead people in different generations.
That's very different.
And how we tend to be, how we tend to operate if we're from this generation or the other. I done some research on it, and I presented some of that at the chamber last night. And Connor, right here behind the camera, thankfully, he came and he videotaped it, the whole day. I haven't seen it yet, so hopefully it's decent.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's great.
Yeah. And but it was, but that was that was incredible because I mean, we think about behavioral styles and dislanguage and all these other things, strengths poll, and the generational thing was really cool. And that's one of the things that I'm going to be very excited to share with you because I think, not by accident, but somehow in your mind, you had stumbled on this inadvertently. Maybe I will use that inadvertently.
I feel like I know what you're about to say.
Well, why your team works really well and why y'all have had the success and the growth and all that, it very much for the generation that you're hitting those pieces.
Yeah, the generation that I'm in. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, the millennials.
Yeah, I feel like
and Gen X, because they're a little bit alike, but yeah.
I feel my management style is probably not mega conducive to the generations older than me. I just feel like I'll lose with them a lot more often.
Well, you know what's interesting is you could be, and the reason is because if you think so, like if you go to the baby boomer, they now again keep in mind when I'm talking about this, you may be watching this and going, "Well, that doesn't apply to me." We're talking about as a whole, right? So it doesn't, if you come down to specific, this may not, but if you just look at the whole, baby boomers are, what I want to say.
That's why you didn't want to talk about it today because you weren't brushed up.
I just can't remember the ages. I know it's 270, but 65. I think it's 65 to 70 right now, somewhere in that ballpark. But basically what they, no, I have my notes. We can talk about it. I just know that we had another game plan for today.
Did we?
Yeah, because last week, we haven't talked to since then, but our last podcast, we said that this podcast, we were going to talk about now THLT, what does it moving forward?
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. And which, in all honesty, there's some things that I want to address. Well, no, that's fine. We can still do that. But I want to share this, so I'm okay with us doing it about the generational leadership. But boomers, they were those workhorses, and they had literally, so they didn't just work to live, like work was their life. And so they're very much, you come into the office, you're here from 8 to 5, you do this, it's very structured, it's very blah, blah, right? And then you have the Gen Xers who they're very much like, so this would be like 44 to the baby boomer age. So they were raised by boomers, and yet they grew up as latchkey kids a lot of times. And so, don't come home until the street light goes out and that type of thing. So they're very independent. But they work to live. So they go to work so that they can make enough money to go have that work-life balance.
Right.
And then the millennials are just a little bit more extreme on that where, and this is the interesting thing because sometimes, which the millennials is like 27, 28 until 44. And a lot of times for years, we used to get a bad rap about, millennials don't work. I'm like, some of the hardest working people I know are millennials. They may not look the same. So like millennials typically, like they would leave a job, even a job they liked, if they couldn't take off at 10 to go see their kids at school or to go to their functions because they had parents that missed that and they're not willing to do that. And so, but they'll also work at 8 o'clock at night to make it up, or they'll do, whatever it takes. They're usually, and they're way more mobile because you can do pretty much, except for like, a doctor or something like that. A lot of our jobs you can do from anywhere because we got the internet and the phone and the text and all of that type of thing. So I think with your, people that work in your office and even the agents and things like that, you have that flexibility, but you also, they talk like millennials will leave if the vibe is off, meaning leadership doesn't see them as valuable, or they don't see them as somebody that is smart and resourceful. And you've tipped tapped into that. And so with the more research I was doing on it, then you go, okay, so how do you take your style and also can bring in the boomers? And then as we have the alphas, the Gen Alphas coming up, so that like that's the
what age group is that?
Connor. So that's 12 to 20. No, we love Connor. That's 12 to, because you look at him, he's a hard worker.
Oh no, I like Connor. Yeah. The age groups are off. Yeah,
but it's from like 12 to 26.
Yeah,
right. So they're entering the workforce. So I just like, it was such a cool. And I've only like started tip of the iceberg of learning about that, but it really does make a difference of how, as leaders, we can't just look at and go, oh, we don't want to do it that way. We got to go, okay, what works? And then we got to change our leadership style. We got to adapt. And, but you've done a really good job and I don't know if that's where you were expecting me to go with as far as when I say you've cracked the nut or you've done a really good job with. Yeah. I've
done a good job with a core group of people, and it's not that core is not expandable, because it certainly is. Like I'll give you Kelsey as an example. Like she showed up and she said, "Hey, how do I help? Like, what time do you want me to? I know that we're supposed to be there at 9, but like, what time do you want me to show up? Right? Like, I'll show up early. I'll stay late. Is there anything I can do to help?"
And she's a millennial.
Yeah. But I also, like, that's honestly the biggest thing that I look for, and it's so easy for me to include people into the core when they act like that. Like, I feel like Kelsey, first of all, should have been with us for 5 years, like our core group has. There's no telling how much she'd be making and how well she'd be doing. But, like, she's just immediately fit into that core, if that makes sense. And then you've got some who want to be in the core but don't want to work to be there. And some just don't care. Like some people are, and it's not wrong. I've said it numerous times. Like, your goal is my goal, right? Like, I'm not trying to impose my goals on you, right? Like, I wish every agent sold 50 plus houses. Like, you're making great money. I'm making great money. This is going to be a great relationship. Some people don't want to do that.
Nope.
Some people need to sell. They go, all right, how much money do I make per house on average? Cool. They sell 20 houses this year. And my family's going to live a great life,
Well,
and so that's okay too.
Well, and this is the interesting, I love this because sometimes it is because where you are in your life, it makes sense for, this, you have maybe young kids, or you have this other thing going on. So for this phase of my life, it makes sense for me to do this much. What I love when we talk about Kelsey, what was really cool was she has every reason, excuse. And I remember whenever when I talked to her, we actually came over here and we were talking about, right before she joined the team, we were talking about her goals and everything. And I used Diana Kokoska's, and I say line, but it was so true. I said, borrow our belief in you long enough for you to believe that.
Yeah.
And because
That's a good saying.
She thought there was some, she was like, well, can I even do that with these? Because, it is very important to me that I'm here with Jude, and I've got my 16-year-old daughter, and I've got, and I said, well, that's the cool part. We want to live in the world of and she really took that on, and we worked on it, and where, we were like, okay, that worked, that didn't. Let's adjust this. Let's adjust that. What about this? What about this? Okay, hey, we can't start that until here. And you see this growth. So I think sometimes people will limit themselves inadvertently because they think, well, based on this, I can only do this.
Yeah.
And it might look totally different than what you expected, but you might be able to do this. Now, I do think at the same time, you have to understand, like, we talked about roles at work. One of the things that I do in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, they talk about what's your role. So this is, let's say that my role is a daughter in my whole life, a daughter, a coach, a sister, an aunt, right? So whatever those roles are in your life, and then you take that role and you go, okay, what is it that I deem my job description, for lack of a better, how would I say that I was amazing in that role?
Yeah.
And then you use that to create goals to make sure that they are all in alignment.
Right.
Because to me, let's say that, obviously I like money and I want to make a lot of it, but let's say that I did that, but I couldn't have been here with my mom when she was at the hospital.
Yeah. That'd make you a problem.
That wouldn't have worked. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's my and Kelsey really took on like that. And
yeah.
so I thought that was really cool. So anyways, so I could really dive deep into this whole generational thing.
But
it was really
that's next week's conversation.
Do that. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about, so we want to talk about next steps.
Yes.
Okay. So last week, y'all know that I gave an honest review of Alivia's consulting services to THLT, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I'll say this, a good coach is coachable. We discussed that last week. The Wednesday meeting went really, really well. Alivia changed her training style that day. And went to a different format.
Yeah. Well, so that's where I couldn't wait for. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm so excited about it because I'd actually the weeks that you were out of town, very much more like that. And because remember I said I knew that there was that issue, but I couldn't. And then you missed those other ones, and I'm like, dang it. So I was glad that that you got to experience that those changes were being made.
Yeah. No, we had a the team meeting was a blast.
Learned something, and everybody had fun. Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. We do so much training and so much talking about the market and buyer agency and all these things that are changing right now. And, just getting together and laughing, we laughed as a team. We played a game where you wrote something on a note card and you folded it up and it was something about you that no one else knew.
And we all had to guess who that was.
Yeah. And then it was actually a really good time.
Yeah. And the other, that I thought was great. And one of the things that sticks out in my head was whenever we were looking at the new way that we're going to, the updated way that we're going to meet with people. And I wasn't sure, how that would land or whatever. And I know you and I had talked about it. Amy and I talked about, we thought it would be great. We rolled that out, but it was so cool to me what, we had an agent whenever I let her know, hey, you're on the track. You did this. You're on track to do that. You get to go to this group. And she's like, am I? I didn't even know. But it was she was like, thank, and it was just very brief, right? But she was like, thank you. And you could immediately see that her confidence level went up, her excitement went up.
Because she immediately was like, well, I know which group I belong to. And then boom, no, you're actually on track. And oh my gosh, I'm actually doing really good.
Yeah. And sometimes we need that because we get in the humdrum of, so that was probably my, as somebody, from up here, or the presenter to go, I thought it was great. And I loved that piece, to see somebody go, when somebody's eyes light up.
Yeah. So for those who don't know what we're talking about, so Alivia announced a new training schedule for the company. And it's based on number of transactions done. Unless you're in commercial, then it's based on volume. And so from, 0 to 24 units is our rising standard group. Rising standard is basic sales skills, lead generation, follow up, just knowing your numbers, right?
Yep. And we meet every week, because when you first get into the business or until you've done a certain number of transactions, there's just so much to learn. So we'll meet, every week, for an hour, and we'll do that training piece, and some of it's training, some of it's mindset, some of it, or it's all training, but some of it's mindset and skill set and things like that.
Right. Yeah. And then we have the growth group, and that is our 24 to 48 unit group. And that is going to be, once you have started selling 24 more units, you were starting to develop a real estate business. And those people, in order to be effective in the team structure, they have to start to use the leverage that is provided to them by the team. We want to teach them how to use our transaction coordinators. We want to teach them, let's get a real social media plan together. We want to teach them how to leverage things so that they can create more time to either go deeper in the profession or create time so they can do what they want to do with their time. For some people, that means going to play more pickleball. For some people, it goes, I want to go to that next group. And that next group is the Synergy group. That's the 48 plus group.
And we got to move an agent to that group. That was kind of cool.
Yeah. And so we actually have, so this is amazing because I can almost guarantee you, there's companies in our area with 100 plus agents. There's 2 with 100 plus agents. And I would almost bet that they have less people in Synergy than we do at 15 agents. And so, how many did we get in there? So it's me, Sam, Chris, Amanda, and then didn't Ramiro make the cut too? 5 out of 15 agents sitting in the Synergy group, guys. 48 or more transactions per year. It's going to be Ramirez's biggest year in real estate. Sam is beating himself by 2 units year over year right now. Mesa is on par for the same year.
Which is 70 plus, 78, 80 plus units.
Every year, 2 years in a row. And then Sam is having the best year now.
You mean Chris or Sam?
No. Chris is 2 units over year over year. Okay. Amanda's having an equal year currently. Sam is having the best year he's ever had. Now, I will say this. He had the best 7 months I may have seen anybody have. And right now, Sammy Boy's got a little goose egg on the board. So, Sam, I hope you watch this. And I hope that was an insult to your ego and it makes you go work. But he feels it though, and he started circle dialing this.
Yeah. Well, this is the interesting thing too, because the market's withdrawing. So, just for clarity, when we say that these agents are growing, you talk about it's not like when the market's going backwards and they're growing or even standing still, that means they're actually growing by 50, 100%.
That's right.
Because you have lots of, in a down market, you have people that it goes down, right?
Yeah, well, mathematically, the best way to say this is if the market recedes by over 20%, which it has, and their business increases by 20%, we are outpacing the market by 40%.
Yeah.
And so that is, if your business stayed the same in 2024 as it did in 2023,
you're 20%.
You're actually doing really, really good. And so we look at brokerages that way too. Like when we go, hey, are we winning or are we losing? Like this is what we did last year. This is what we're doing this year, and I thought this year was going to be a bloodbath. Like I really was. And, for the most part, like we're not, like just we ain't making 2021 money. But we are like, we're bonusing out staff members. We're making payroll. We're making money. Like I'm very pleased, honestly. And I pray it continues. But we have that many people in the Synergy group. Now the Synergy group, this group is going to get to do some high level stuff because at the Synergy group, you have learned to lead generate. You've learned a database. You've learned to follow up. You've learned to use your leverage. You've learned to use your listing agents and your listing team and your transaction coordinators and, all of our marketing and all the things and the opportunities that we have. And this is where we want to say, hey, there is no glass ceiling here. Yes, guys, there is a limit to how much money you can make in real estate in Northeast Louisiana. I'm just going to go ahead and be very, very honest with you. I know what the top people are making, and it's not as much as you think because it's expensive to make that to sell that many houses. Somebody was so funny. I was coaching somebody upstairs for about 4 hours, and they went, how much money do you make? Like, be real. And I was like, how much money do you think I make? And they're like, well, I know you're making like $1 million a year in real estate. And I was like,
wouldn't that be great?
Oh my gosh, no, I'm not even close. I had an agent make more money than me last year.
Yeah.
I had an agent make more money than me last year. Like, you know how insulting that is to me, the business owner, when people tell me your splits are too high and you make too much money off us. And I have agents who are working. Now, this particular agent works just as much, if not more, and harder than I do. So, that part's not insulting. But, like, I'm the one carrying all the risk. When we have a bad month, nobody looks at the top agent to write the check. They look at me to write the check. Mm-hmm. When somebody wants a raise, they don't go to the top agent and say, hey, would you cut me off some of yours? No, they come to me and go, hey, I know we're not really making a lot of money right now, but, I'd like a raise. Yeah. I'm like, oh, cool. Me too.
Cool.
Yeah. And so anyway, I found it really funny that somebody thought I made $1 million off the real estate company. But you're not, if all you want to do is real estate, in order to sell a lot of real estate here, you have to have big leverage. Big leverage costs big money. And so there is a level, I think the person who probably figured that level out and that balance out the best is probably Brian Mendeley. He's really good at like staying small, staying lean, but staying profitable. Whereas I went big, it's just not as lucrative as people may think. So yes, there is a ceiling in real estate. We've helped people realize that ceiling faster. And so, one of my goals for those people, like, how do you retain somebody when they have met their potential and outside, and they don't want to run an organization. So they won't hire people. They don't want payroll. They don't want to run a business. They want me to do all that stuff for them. And so they've reached this number. All right. Well, Alivia, you're talented. You work hard. If I give you a task, you go crush, right? If I paid you the same thing for 5 years, how would you feel? Like, because at the first year, you'd be like, yeah, woo, look at that, look at this money. And then the year two, they're like, all right, we're still killing it. It's great job, team, guys. Third year, it's a normal year. Fourth year, what else is out there? Mm-hmm. Fifth year, I need something else. And so we have to figure out a way to help these people make more money, realize more earnings, more potential.
It could be more money. It could be more time. It could be a combination of those. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So people don't come talk to me about quality of time. That's just not one of my strong suits, but I will help you make all the money you want to make. And so
I'll talk to you about both.
yeah, Olivia, you can talk to Olivia about time, talk to me about money. But one of the things I'm excited about in this group is now it's like, okay, well, how do we create retention inside our highest performers? Because we have to have. And
one of the cool part is, you have great retention, and so this is going to give us an opportunity to continue to grow, to put more people in that group, and to continue to add value to the people that you have great retention with. They love you. They love the company. They love what they do. And how do we continue to bring them value? And so that's that group. So they're going to have, it's a whole, like, they know how to sell real estate. Now, can all of us learn something new in what we do? Absolutely. But they've been in that path to mastery for a long time. And so now it's time to find what for them is that next level, and all of us go tackle together. And now we've got that synergy group.
Well, I'm excited about it because it's, getting to help them invest. That's something that, especially with my income, I mean, I've already disclosed to y'all, it ain't as good as you think it is in real estate. And you're like, well, people don't believe me when I tell them that because they see my lifestyle, right? And I'm like, so first, I own multiple companies. I have multiple streams of income. I have a who, so I'm not getting out of real estate. I spend all my time in real estate. We have who's who run those other businesses and manage those things. And but investing and the other sources of income. So, we flip 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses a year. We do the renovation program 15, 30 times a year. That makes up for, probably half of my income, really.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to get to teach these guys how to do that. And so.
And do it with them.
Yeah. And do it with them. So that's not, like I said, I'm funding 2 deals for these guys. And that's going to be really cool to see them be able to 2X their income through the things that they're already doing anyway. Because when you start to look at the opportunity, when you go, Ben Kinney said this on stage like 7 or 8 years ago. It was a KW family reunion conference. And he said, guys, there's 2 things you need to know about selling real estate. Every time you go to a listing appointment, you need to go, do I want to buy this house or do I want to list this house? And then your next question is, your next thing that you need to know is that there's no legal limit to what a seller can pay you only as a commission as a realtor. And I was like, well, why is that important? And he went, oh, because they can literally fund your down payment through commissions. And I was like, holy cow. And so I've actually done that. I've had people like sign a listing like, hey, how much do you want for the property? You want $250? I know it's worth more. We've talked about that. Like, I have to be transparent.
Well, and that's the other thing. Sometimes people are like, well, if you bought it, did you? Now, are there scummy people out there? Sure.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're talking about. There are certain people that it's not the money they're looking for. They want the quick, I want out.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with it. This is happening. And so it's like, okay, if that's what you want, I can make it happen. And like with this, they know all about it. They get to say yes, no. And a lot of times and I know you've said this before where you're like, look, I mean, I can buy it, but are you sure that's what you want? Because you can make a lot more money if we do this. I'll help you do that. And they're like, no, I just want out. Play it. You sure? You want to talk to somebody? Like, okay, then let's make it happen.
That was it was an elderly lady. Not elderly. She's 60.
That's not elderly, no.
The older I get, the less.
I know.
The higher that number goes to qualify for elderly. But she called for a listing appointment.
Elderly right now, I would say, is like the silent generation. There's like 79 and above.
Yeah. Oh, I'm never going to make the elderly. Jeez. So
you are.
We go to her house. It's me and an agent. We go talk to her, and she's like, "Well, I have cats, and I don't like to disturb my cats, and I don't like people in and out and seeing my stuff, and I'm afraid that people will steal from me." And I was like, "Well, look, we've never had that problem." Like, I'm reassuring her, and she's like, "I think I would rather I saw that y'all make cash offers." She's like, "Would you just make us a cash offer?" And I was like, "I mean, absolutely, but like, your house is almost perfect. You got about 13 minutes worth of work to do, and this thing is going to get market value." And she's like, okay. Well, she goes, well, go run the numbers for me. So I go run the numbers both ways. And I was like, hey, look, this is what we can list it for. I mean, net down commissions. Let me net down all the negotiables, net down your mortgage payout. And I was like, you're going to make this much money. And she said, well, what's your cash offer? And I said, we can buy it for $120,000. We can close tomorrow, or we can close in 3 months. I don't care. We're going to sign a contract today. And she's like, all right, well, let me think about it. So she calls us for a second appointment like 3 days later. And she's like, all right, I just want to review all the details. And she's like, I want the cash offer. And I was like, ma'am, you're going to make like $30,000 more if you'll just list with us. Like, I strongly recommend that you list with us. And she said, I don't want the hassle. I'd take your money. Well, and I was like, okay.
There are certain pieces. I'm probably one of those, really.
Okay, when you sell your house, I got you, boo.
Yeah. Well, because the whole, yeah, like, and funny enough, but like, I don't, I'm one of those, but like, it's because now don't get me wrong, again, love money, but time money, because if I got to wait this long, or I've got to displace my dogs or my mom or no, like, how can we get in and out easy? And so a lot of times so I just didn't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but that's some pieces, and where those three groups came from, because last week, right, you got to hear, I brought up to Harrison and said, okay, let's now look at what am I doing as coaching in the business that's working? Where do we have an opportunity? And there's always opportunity. Mm-hmm. And something that I've been thinking about is some of the things that I knew wasn't working, or I was kind of I couldn't put my finger on it, because we've been at this like 6 months. That's where that group came out, because not only am I looking to coach his group, it's how do we make that most effective, but also I'm growing the coaching. Well, so that's where, it's like, okay, our people that you're in business with, whether they are working with you side by side, if they work for you, that type of thing, are they coming to you and going, I know this is our goal, this is what I feel like will make that work. And then you work it out, to make sure that is what, but bringing that to him going, okay, from his perspective, okay, these are the things that work or don't work. And then me coming, these are some things that work or don't work. And so I think we've landed on something that's really going to be amazing.
I'm excited about it. So I think I'll give you the positives of it is I like something to work towards, right? It giving me a challenge and going, hey, I want to be a part of that group. Like, whichever group that is for some right. People may just go, hey, I'm cool with Rising Standard. Like, that's all I need to sell is 20 houses a year, whatever. I'm happy with that. And some people are going to be like, honored, like, hey, I get to go in that growth group. Like, let's talk about business ownership and, how to use leverage and all that. And then there's going to be some people who are like, I need to be in synergy. I want to go invest with Harrison. I want to go invest with Sam, Amanda, Chris, Romero, whoever. And, that's great. Those are the people I want to hang out with, right? The people who go, I want to be in that group. I want to earn the right to be in that group. I'm going to fight for this. And then there's the people who are like, I got left out. That's going to be the opportunity here. And the opportunity, that's going to be my struggle, because I don't deal well with those people.
Well, so this is the thing is, I don't think those people are the right people for your organization.
They're not.
And they won't be there long, because,
yeah.
And again, now I'm not saying that everybody's going to be like the synergy group in this part of their life.
Oh, no. So it's not, I don't care if you're in the synergy group or the Rising Standard. What I care about is that you're the, hey, I want more, or the, hey, I'm good with being where I'm at because this is my goal. Well, but the people who go, well, I should be in that, I want to be in that group.
Yeah.
Hold up, you haven't, like, this is giving you something to earn. Like, this is giving you like a badge of honor. Like, hey, you made it into synergy, you made it into growth. Like,
Well, that's because, like, let's say, there's one lady on our team that that I'm thinking of, and she may not see it, but I feel like she's made some tremendous growth with mindset and the way she thinks about things. So I think it's about to just jump off for her. Mm-hmm. And yet, so you might have somebody that their growth is going from 12 to 24. Mm-hmm. This is the thing. I think sometimes we forget that is not
24 units is actually not bad in Northeast Louisiana.
That's not anywhere.
That's an accomplished. It's be above mid tier.
Yeah. Like that's so the first thing that we always want to look at and go, okay, all of these. With the rising standards, it's just that it's rising, right? So it's not like, oh, you're only in that. No. This is where we start. Yeah. And our job is to give you our goal is to give you everything that you need to either blow it up in there, and that works well with your commitments outside of work. and giving you the opportunity to, as it works for your world, your life, to then hit to the growth and then hit to the synergy. And so I don't think those people, I don't think those people are going to, the ones that really, I don't think they're going to feel left out. They're going to be like, I love this because I know what this is about. And I know that, because we're going to celebrate the growth within there as well. And that same person that's in the whether it's rising centers or growth, it's just a different level of conversations to somebody that's doing 70 plus units and somebody that, hey, this is my second year in the business and I'm knocking it out of the park, but I've done 24. And so we want everybody to have the opportunity to have the conversations. And because we have weekly meetings with the entire group, they're still getting to hang out and see and learn from the Synergy group as well. It just gives us a faster approach if they'd like to take it to get there. Yeah. But I get with you. Like, I deserve, no.
Well, what we've learned is the people who act like that, the people who come to me and like, well, I'm not getting leads. Like, they don't typically last very long. Because if I'm being honest, if I have to feed you leads to keep you here, I don't need you. Because if you're only showing my leads, then you're not doing anything for me. It's supposed to be a symbiotic relationship. Because if I'm just going to hand you leads and you're going to show houses, I'm going to pay you $24,000 a year and 10% of the commission, and you're going to be my showing assistant. You're going to make $40,000, $50,000 a year, and I'm going to get the money because I'm the one actually doing the work. Lead generation is the actual work. Showing houses is not hard.
Yeah,
it's an 11-page PDF document, fill in the blank. I'm pretty positive that I could take someone with a not very high IQ and teach them how to fill that document out.
Yeah.
It's not hard. Do you agree or disagree? You're giving me a look of...
No. So where I disagree with that is I think it's not just that. I agree with you, and I think it's an oversimplification because you're driving
personalities and take homes and all that stuff. Yeah,
that's right.
That I am oversimplifying it, and yet I think one thing that I said is absolutely true, and lead generation is the hard work.
Oh, yeah.
Lead generation is the hard work. I tell the agents all the time, if you didn't lead generate today, don't you dare go to your house and tell your spouse, your family, your mom, your dad, someone who's your accountability partner that you worked.
That's right.
Because you did not. Because if they call me and they said, hey, did he lead generate? And I look and I go, nope, I see no dials in the dollar. I see no follow-ups in the CRM. They didn't work today. Yeah. You should go shut them.
Well, and a lot of times I'll tell people, I say, look, I want you to imagine. So it is, and this goes across the board. So if you're an electric company, you're a plumbing company, you're a roofing company, you're a real estate company, you're a dentist, it doesn't matter. Everybody, you wrote a book. Everybody has to lead generate. You have to let people know about the product.
Everyone is selling, and if you're not, you better partner with somebody who's selling. Had that conversation last night. That exact one.
So that's the, I had the opportunity, I was listening to Liz Landry, and she's with KW. She's pretty freaking amazing. And one of the things that she talked about was the 4 types of hires. And it's I love the perspective because I believed this and I've taught this. She had great wording for it. And so, like, I want you to imagine this is a circle. This is you. A lot of times when you're doing everything that you can do, you're like, okay, it's time to, I've hit a ceiling. It's time to hire somebody. A lot of times we immediately think like an admin or, something to this effect. Well, that might be, but really it also could be the person you partner with, which can be anything from a partner, an accountability, and then you have the person that works with you, which is the coach. And then you have potentially the person that you work for. So that could be joining another organization. Think insurance agents that join State Farm, agents that join the THLT or, whatever that company is. So that's who you're, and it could be somebody that's grown their organization. I think Gary Keller in this situation, he grew the KW to 10,000 and then he fired himself from that position, hired Mo. She became his boss. So it doesn't change him where he is in the organization as an owner. And then she took it to 50,000.
Yeah.
Right. So there are more than one hires that you need to be thinking about when you've done all you can do and it's time to do something else. Does it make sense to partner with somebody? Does it make sense to hire the coach? Does it make sense to join somebody's, hire your own boss, join an organization, or does it make sense to hire that admin, that EA, or whoever's the next, depending on your your structure?
I completely agree, and that just rings true to the more and more gurus, coaches, consultants, influencers are saying this, and I believe it. It's not just because I own a team and because I'm running sales teams, right? But everyone is partnering up.
Oh, yeah.
And you may be able to beat me, Alivia, but you're not going to beat me and Sam and Amanda and Amy. You can't keep up. Mm-hmm. You know, when somebody told me they were going to beat me the other day, I was like, you may beat me. You're not going to beat us. That shit ain't going to happen. It's impossible. You're not talented enough. You don't have your 24 hours versus my 24 times 5 people who are ready to rock your world. It's not going to happen. And so everyone needs a team.
Well, and that's where the interesting thing is whether it is because you're hiring your own boss or you're partnering. Now, partnering can look like going into business together. Mm-hmm. It could look like having an accountability partner. It could look like having a group of people that you go to when you have, but 100%, like it's that together everyone achieves more. But there is no such thing as people like, I reached this level all on my own. That is BS.
I didn't even do it on my own.
Nobody did.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. Like nobody does. And now, could it look different? Somebody, this person had, maybe somebody helped them help them financially. This person had somebody that believed in them, but nobody goes from here to here in anything without somebody that supports them somehow. Heck, it might be your mom. When or your grandma, we talked about ZB Electric and that, and he said when he was coming up, his grandma ran an ad in the newspaper for him. Mm-hmm. And in Columbia, because she wanted to support. It may have been that, you look at Michael Phelps, the swimmer. Mm-hmm. He was not, when he was young, driving himself to those events.
Yeah, gotta have a team.
You have so nobody can do it alone. And if you are trying to do that, quit doing it. Go find your people. And it may be one of those 4 hires. It may not be all of them. I'm a big believer in the coach, and then let the coach help you decide the other. So you have your but before you can hire a coach, you have the mentor, you have the, have people in your life that are speaking into you. And that could be people, books, podcast, but don't go alone.
If you are a solopreneur right now, so a solo realtor, solo anything, doesn't matter.
Do you have a group?
Yeah. You either go get on a team immediately, or the
right team, because just like when we talk about
just because they have team in their name does not make them a team. It also does not bring them any value.
That's right. So just like when we talk about, like, if I'm going to hire somebody, there's like a whole process that I'm going to go through before I hire somebody. Mm-hmm. Before you join a team, before you join a business, are you going through the entire process to go, are we in alignment? Is this my best move? Don't just, that was successful. Somebody else. Not everybody's the right leader for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Correct. I am not for everybody.
Well, I look at Jade. Yeah. So we talked about her in the past. Jade is freaking a rock star. Amazing. I love her.
Yep. Big fan.
And she worked for me, and it wasn't the right time or the right whatever. And she's amazing. So I won't go into the whole story, but so at that moment, I wasn't the right leader for her. She went to another organization with Amy. Mm-hmm. Blew it up. She came to your organization with Amy and you, and she's continued to blow it up. Mm-hmm. So not everybody's the right leader for everybody. Yep. Doesn't have anything to do with their talent, their skills necessarily. It could be them, but it could be you as the leader. It's just not the right leader. Doesn't even mean that you're a bad leader. I've coached people before, and before you get into my coaching schedule, we have what we call an expectations conversation, so that you fill out some forms. We talk, because what I might say is, that's all awesome, and I don't think I'm going to be the person to help you get there. Let's see if we can't find the right person. Yeah. So sometimes I know that people work with a coach and be like, I tried that already. Well,
was it the right coach?
Probably wasn't the right coach.
I had to fire 2 coaches before I found the one that I was like, I like this person. Yeah. But I feel like they're relevant. They know where I want to go. They hear me, and they're pushing me. Yeah. My first coaching experience, just not you. I got like an outside market coach. I did not like that person at all. And and part of me, the human side of me, wanted to go, coaching doesn't work, right? Yeah. And I was like, no, I'm gonna give it another shot. The best are in coaching. So I've got to be, if I'm going to be the best, I got to be in coaching too. Like, that's success leaves clues. I'm following the clues. And next coach didn't really work out. Wasn't bad, just wasn't
the right fit.
Yeah, it was like a phone. It was like a friend on the phone, Next one held me accountable. It's Heather Lamb.
Yeah.
Liked her a lot. Still like her. We still talk.
Yeah.
No, she did a great job.
Yep.
I kept her as my coach for 2 years. Had another coach. I kept him for a year. I was a year too long. Should have fired him. He was the most expensive one I had, and he was the worst.
Yeah. And that's the worst for you because somebody else thought he was amazing, right?
He wanted to talk to me about his divorce. I was paying this man
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
$2,000 a month for 30 minutes a week. And when he started going through his divorce, it was 30 to 45 minutes of his divorce and everything every week. And I finally, after 3 months of it, I just sent in my resignation to the coaching company. And I was like, I don't care about anything. Just get me out of this contract or tell me what I don't. And I didn't snitch on him. Because he is going through a hard time. I'm sympathetic to that, even though it was costing me a lot of money. And then my next coach was a Tom Ferry coach, Jason Critchfield. Loved him, thought he was great. I picked him. I got placed with him, but I was okay with him because when I was like, all right, what are you doing in your life? What have you done? And he's like, well, I did this. He has a boutique brokerage in Colorado. He runs a small team. He focuses on agent production rather than mass recruitment. And I was like, we're in alignment.
Yep.
Teach me what you had to teach me.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's the ticket. So just like as a coach, when I am interviewing you to see if we're going to be a great fit, because I'm a big believer. I'd rather turn you down now than let you down later. Mm-hmm. You also were interviewing your coach. So even in some of the bigger coaching organizations, you are placed with a coach. Now, I do believe that most of them attempt to do the best they can do based on what you've told them to get you the right person. But you're interviewing that coach too. If you're not getting what you need, then change coaches, talk to somebody, do something different. And
give your coach feedback so they can make a change, right? Well, we talked about last week how Alivia had bombed a training session. Me and Alivia had a real conversation.
The same day.
Yeah.
I
get back and the format's different. The energy is different. I got 0 complaints. And I was like, hey, feedback. And then you also saw a model in there for where the model of just having a conversation that could be unpleasant, but 2 people came to the table with respect. I also think that in controversy, respectful communication is extremely important.
Yes.
Because if I had come at you, now I know how you would have reacted because you're a good leader. But if I had come at you and be like, Alivia, we're paying you this, and that's the kind of shit you bring to my table, blah, 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 blah. Now, that would have probably been a very different conversation.
Oh, yeah, that would have been very different. Now, because I would have addressed that, and then we'd have circled back, but I would have said,
don't you ever talk.
Yeah.
We've never had those kind of conversations in our life. So.
Well, but it would have been, and because I've had similar, not like that, but where somebody's called me, and I actually coach people on that. If somebody calls you and they are
doing that,
a lot of times that has nothing to do with you. They are dealing with a lot of things, and so a lot of times when that, if anybody, not a lot, if anybody approaches me that way, when I was younger, I probably didn't know how to handle it, but now if somebody approaches me like that, I'm going to say one of 2 things. I am, and I'll kind of go through both. Number one, I might hang up on you. Now, this is the thing is I then call directly back and say, hey, I think we had a bad connection.
You're just resetting the vibe.
I'm resetting the vibe.
Yeah.
Now because I'm not even going to say, don't talk to me like that. Literally got to hang up, call him right back. Hey, I think we got disconnected. Reset the vibe. The other thing that I might do, especially if I know that person, because if you did that to me, I know that, like you said, we've known each other for years. You've never done that. You don't talk to people like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, Harrison, I'll be happy to have that conversation. And what just happened? Because you're coming at me with some energy that doesn't feel like you.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Yeah.
It may or may not take him a moment to he might even, again, just depending on the relationship. If we don't have a very deep relationship, you getting a phone call and a reset and all that stuff. But even with you, I might do the reset so I can come back on and go, we disconnected. Hey, Harrison, there's something seemed to be way off. I get that was a disappointment and we can definitely address that, but there's something else going on deeper with you. What just happened? And he's probably going to,
that's when the garbage is just going to start pouring out. But it's also that the model that Ben Kinney uses is called the resentment circle of resentment. And he's when people are they're upset inside his organization, he meets with them privately and he just creates a circle and he goes, I want you to tell me everything that's on your mind. Everything. I'm not making enough money. No money. Got it. I'm not getting good leads. Leads are bad. All right. What else is going on? My wife says I should be making more money and I'm paying you too much split. Wife doesn't like splits. Mm-hmm. And there's it's a 30-minute video on YouTube, Circle of Resentment, Ben Kinney. You should go watch it if you're a leader. It's actually wonderful. And so he sits down and takes every one of his complaints. He's like, let's talk about each one of these in depth. What does this mean to you? Why don't you have enough money? blah, 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 blah. And I remember specifically one of Ben's comebacks to the guy was, like after he had addressed everything and he said, hey, let's talk about the money part. Like, what are you making? And he tells him, he goes, that's pretty good. He goes, but why? Is it you're making good money? It's not the best, but you're making good money. And he goes, well, tell me, why do you feel like, you're not making enough money? Because your activities show that you're making exactly what you work for. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And
what does enough even mean?
Yeah. He's like, well, we're just, we're struggling with our house payment. We're struggling with our car payment. And Ben goes, I have a question for you. Who do you think makes more money in this conversation? And he looks at Ben and goes, well, you do, Ben. And he goes, okay. He goes, well, that's not a brag or anything. He said, but have you seen my car? I have a white F-150 base model. Have you seen my house? I live in a $350,000 house. Now, this is an area where
350,000 is like big slip.
Yeah, it's kind of the hood there, right?
It's not yet. In Washington, it's not the...
And he's like, you have a nicer house and a nicer car than me. Do you have an earning problem or a management problem?
Yeah.
And what can I help you with? Can I sit down with you and your wife and help you guys with a budget? And then he works through the leads, right? He's like, hey, I don't know, you said the leads are crappy, but the same leads that we give you are the same leads we gave Janine, and Janine closed 4 of those leads last month, and you closed 0. So let me ask you a question. Are the leads crappy, or did you not follow up? Because I look in the CRM and I know she only called them 1 time a piece. Mm-hmm. When the Harvard study specifically tells us it will take 7 to 9 attempts to get those people on the phone and create a conversation and a relationship. So,
and what energy did you bring to the relationship?
Yeah. And so did the lead suck, or does your follow-up suck? Mm-hmm. And he starts working through every single one of these problems. And then at the end of the day, he goes, and Ben's like, now, do you see a path where if we got together and worked on these things together, that we could actually have a really successful partnership? And they'll either say yes or no at that point.
That's right.
But you have done your best to address their problems and conquer their mountains as a leader with them.
That's right.
And so that's a really good model. You should definitely go look it up.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the big thing, as leaders, you meet people where they are and then help them go to where they want to go. And sometimes where they want to go isn't your path. I mean, I've coached people I've coached people for, usually a lot of times people coach with a coach for maybe they'll coach for a year or 2 years, and then they'll be like, well, I need another. You have to stay, if you're a coach or a business leader, you've got to stay ahead of the people that are to lead, you got to stay ahead of them. Right. Mm-hmm. And so with education, with skills, all those things. And whenever, and so I've had clients that I'd had for 4, 5, 6 years, and people would be like, well, how come? And I'm like, because I've stayed ahead of them. Now, the same thing, I've had clients that I've worked with for 6 months, a year, et cetera. And because we weren't the right fit, I said, hey, you know what we wanted to accomplish together, it's done. The next thing you don't accomplish, that's not my wheelhouse. Let's connect you to the person that's the right wheelhouse. Because, and I was talking to somebody that on Saturday, and I was like, hey, once we set this up, I said, you won't need me in that part. I said, I'm like, there are certain parts of the training pieces that he's doing that I'm going to work myself out of the job. Mm-hmm. Not the coaching pieces necessarily, but the training pieces. And so, but that's part of it. And so that's where, relationships change. I've even had, I think one particular guy that I coached and had coached him for 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, it's time for you to have another perspective. And, he was with that other person for about a year. And the funny thing is his director of operations, we ran at each other, and his director of operations was like, hey.
So Dylan?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Hey, I think you need to have a conversation. He needs you. Uh-huh. And I was like, well, I'm happy to have a conversation. He can let me know what, has he addressed this with his coach? Has he let them know what he's looking for and things like that? And so, but so we coached back together again. And so there is, there's times and place for different things. You grow, they grow. But it's definitely, with organizations, partnerships, all those things, heck, I've had a partner where I decided that wasn't the right partnership. 2 or 3 years later, it became the right time for that partnership, and we went back into business together.
Because there was the right person, wrong time.
That's right, and there was no, and we laid it out with that particular person. I said, "This is where I'm at. This is where you're at. It's not equitable, and so it doesn't make sense. And that's why we're having these issues or whatever. And we kind of got a path for what would it look like. And then when we were there, so again, no harm, no foul. Nobody was right or wrong. It just was the right time. And how do we how do we make the right steps forward?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I do want to go back to the portion where we were talking about when conversations just go out of pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that actually happened to me this week. I did not show up in that conversation really well. I failed massively. We lost the client, like 100%. He's never going to do business with anything with my name on it ever again. Because remember, you were out of town. You were not out of town. You were with your mother. She was sick.
Okay.
When I taught when you were out. And actually, all I did was recap. Jeff Glover, he's a real estate coach and big mega agent in Michigan. And he's actually a really good coach. And he did his 25 skills, Jeff's 25 skills for the next market. And so I went over all those things because it was a really great speech. I just made it in my own words. But one of his points was the art of getting over yourself quickly. Have I talked to you about this a little bit? Maybe, no. And, he's
I'm a big believer in it, but.
Yeah, well, and I had never thought about it. So actually, like when he said that, the art of getting over yourself quickly, I looked at Sam and I just hit him and I was like, he's talking to us, bro. And, because me and Sam are like manly men we lift big, we do our best to take care of ourselves. We take pride in what we do. And, we feel we're both mega competitive and, we feel like we do a good job and that we're people know who we are in this business, And, so anyway, this guy calls me and he goes, he sends me pictures and his shower glass was broken. His house is listed with us. He sends me pictures and he goes, hey, I just got to my house. This is here. This is broken. And I was like, oh man. So I called him. I was like, hey, man, I am so sorry to see that. Now, nobody from my organization has been in your house. I said, here's your last showing schedule. This realtor, I've already spoken to them. There was no damage in your house at that time. This next realtor is someone who's not very nice and they won't answer my phone call or my text. I sent them pictures. I've asked them questions. I can't get in touch with them. That was a week ago. I still can't get in touch with them. They're super great. Pick your realtors carefully, guys. So I'm not accusing that realtor of anything. So that just to be clear, but they won't answer my calls or texts. So I can't even go into discovery. So within 2 hours, I said, hey, just give me some time and go to discovery, see if I can figure it out. And he calls me 2 hours later. I mean, he is just hot. I mean, he's hammering me. How often do you drive by my house? And I was like, sir, your house is 45 minutes away from my house. We do not do security drive-bys unless you specifically ask. I do not own the property. You do. It's your property to check on our listing contract. The standard listing contract specifically states that we are in no way liable for any damages or anything that happens on the property unless it is we are the ones that do it, right? And so anyway, and he's like, who, and he started talking about me in the third person, who at Harrison Lilly is going to be handling this? And I was like, I just wasn't prepared for that question at the time. And I was mad that other agent would not respond to me because I have no answers and I'm trying to do my best and I can't because somebody won't answer the damn phone. And so he repeats it, he's yelling at me. And I was like, look, you've given me 2 hours, which is quite frankly, just not enough time. I said, will you let me just figure it out? I said, I said, full transparency, sir. I said, I'm not having the best day and that's not your problem, but I would really like to show up for you how I need to. So I got off the phone. So he calls me the next day. I promised him a call back the next day, but he called me back. He wasn't very patient. And he's like, it's past noon. Who knows when you're going to call me back? And I said, sir, I told you I was going to call you back. I said, just pulled up at my home office. Like I've been in appointments all day. I'm just now about to go make my follow-up calls. You're on my list. So I'm sorry. So, but I did take your call because it's important to me that you know that I'm responsive. And then he just starts motherfucking me and, you better pay for this. This is out of integrity and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I said, bro, let me stop you right there. Don't put your finger on my chest one more time. I said, we're not going to talk to each other like that, or I'm just going to get off the phone. I said a few other things. I should not have said those things. I didn't cuss him or anything like that. I was just mad. Like, dude, I'm not making any money off this listing. Like, this is not going to go into those logistics.
Yeah. And
so then he hung me on the cross for saying that, and I was like, I can't win with this guy. I suck. And I said, look, I was like, and he said, well, what should I do? I said, well, we should clean the glass up. That's what we should do. Like we have an inspection tomorrow. We're under contract. We should clean the glass. He goes, so I have to go clean up glass at my house? And I was like, is it your expectation that I go clean glass up at your house? And he didn't talk. And I said, all right, man, well, we need to get the glass cleaned up. Inspections tomorrow. And I said, goodbye. And I waited about 3 seconds. He didn't say anything, so I just got off the phone. So I call the person who owns the lead, and I let them know how this went. And I said some things I shouldn't have said, and I want to apologize. I said, we're going to lose that client, just to be clear. They're never using us ever again. And she was like, I get it. He's kind of a jerk, whatever. And, well, actually, she said he was really nice to her. And I said, like, well, did he ever motherfuck you 5 times in 3 seconds? And she was like, no, that's kind of jerk. Yeah, anyway. So I called Brian Brindley because I'm pissed. I'm hot. I don't speak to people that way. We've discussed that. And so when people talk to me that way, I get triggered bad. The art of getting over yourself quickly. I was not masterful in the art. And so I called Brian Brindley. I said, hey, dude, I just need somebody else in this business to just mentor me for a second. And he was like, sure, whatever I can do to help. Brian's great, guys. He really is. A lot of people see him as like mean and staunch, but he honestly is like one of the nicest people in this business. He just has beliefs and he stands on them strongly. But to the point, so he's like, Harrison, he goes, did y'all have anything to do with it? I said, 0%. I had nothing to do with it. And he said, first of all, I'd probably dump the listing. I said, it's under contract, Brian. Like, if it was active, if it goes back to market, I'm probably going to tell him to get a new realtor. But he said, all right. He said, what's your name worth? And I was like, God, okay, I know the answer. So I send the dude a text and I just say, I am personally going to handle this entire thing. It's not going to cost you a penny. I'm going to get with the buyers, which I had already been with the buyer's agent, and let them know everything that transpired and that we were going to take care of it. So just like, if that's a deal breaker for you guys, don't worry. I'm personally guaranteeing it. And I just said, I will personally take care of everything. It's not going to cost you a penny. I've already organized everything with your buyers. It's not going to cause them to run away from the house. Everything's going to be fine. And he just thumbs up the thing. We're not talking. So anyway, yeah, that's how that went.
Mm-hmm. Hindsight. Is there anything that you would do?
Absolutely. Instead of getting mad, I would have said, sir, what is your expectation of this situation and how can I help? Some people would realize that I do not own that house and you do not pay me enough to run security on your house. Now, for all those out there, if you would like for us to run security on your house, we will, but it will cost you X. And so in hindsight, I would have asked questions and figured out what his expectation was. And then I would have been like, hey, can you give me 1 to 2 days to go into discovery? And then I'll call you back with my solution based on your expectation. I think that would have diffused the whole thing and we wouldn't have gotten to him motherfucking me, multiple times in that conversation. So yeah.
Well, and let that be a lesson to you and thank you for this, but for us as well, because look, we're all human and I do like the art of getting over yourself. But so now that you know that, this is where everybody should have a written system. And so that system now goes into your playbook that says, if something bad happens at my property, they call me. What is it that I say? What is it that I do? What is it, right? Because then sometimes if we're not careful, we act like everything is the first time it ever happened. Well,
so that is actually the first time any of my houses have ever been vandalized.
Okay.
It has never happened. Now, we've had people leave a door unlocked.
That's right. But that's what you've had something happen.
Yeah, but nothing egregious like this where it actually caused the homeowner damage. It's not inexpensive. I went over there personally, which that part's expensive. My time's expensive. But me and Connor went over there and we detached the glass door. I talked to the buyers in an older house and I was like, hey, I can put a new glass door on here and I'm happy to do it. And I think it looks better without it. So if I brought a paint over here and caulked everything up and made this thing pretty and cleaned it out for you guys, would that be better? And they're like, oh yeah, that's a more modern look. We'd prefer that anyway. I was like, this is going to cost me $30.
Yeah. Well, and so ultimately it ended up being as small as somebody leave, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I say write it down because the only couple things that I think you've nailed the beginning of that conversation. He called, he was upset. Oh man, I hate this happened. What's your expectations? You're not agreeing to anything. You're just like, how can I make this, how can I make this right? And then going, okay, I appreciate that. I took notes. Let me see what I can do. The only piece that I would is anytime, it's like our brain being tentacles. It's out there. Anytime we don't know give a more finite time. So it's going to take me a couple days to find out XYZ. So would it be okay if we did, and I'm going to make sure the other agent, like, nope, they're all good. So I'm going to give you a call back tomorrow by noon. I may or may not have the whole solution, but that way you know what's next. Because sometimes, and then if noon you call him or whatever. So give him that definite. The other piece is the only other thing that could potentially, when you go in, you write this, and this becomes part of your solution, because this thing next time it might not be you, maybe Kelsey or Sam. How would you want them to handle it? So then from what you've experienced, so now the other piece, letting them know, hey, and sometimes in our effort to let people know what we're going to do, and this is advice for everybody, is when we think we're explaining, hey, I've got to do this, things, what they hear is excuses or whatever. So sometimes it's the over explanation that can hurt us. So we're going to figure out how to make you happy. So, but I need a couple days to look to see that XYZ. I will call you back to let you know, what we've discovered and next steps at 12, right? And yet that's actually how we learn, right? Like if that has never happened in this many years. So now you go, okay, well, that happened. Could it potentially happen again? Yeah, it might not happen again for 10 years. So how do I make sure that I have a written system the next time that happens? I know what to do.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. I just wasn't prepared. I don't think I was not in a leadership headspace for that conversation at the time. We had that was right at last week. That was like last Friday when all that happened. And then, like I told y'all, like I guess today actually marks the new week. I'm talking about the previous Friday.
That's right.
But that was the bad week. Yeah. And there was nothing good about that week.
So it was awful. Well, this is the other piece, because you may have handled it differently if it was a different week. So there is a saying, when I first got in the business, they used to say, if you're having a bad day, attitudinally go home. Well, because
I was trying to go home. He wouldn't let me.
I know. But because we're connected everywhere with our cell phone. So what you may be something to look at is, next time you're having a bad day attitudinally, who needs to hold your phone for you? Like, answer your phone, answer your text, etc.
Well, it wasn't
even if it's
I just wasn't in my best. I mean, I wasn't like in a wicked mood where it was just like, fuck everybody, right? No, it was I was in a position where people should not put me in a corner because I'm already having a shit week.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, so, because again, sometimes, especially of those of us that are like workaholics, or we believe that we've always got to be on, or we believe sometimes.
Well, that's people's expectation of me is that I am always on. That was actually a really big. The reason I stepped out of sales a few years ago, I stepped out for about 8 months, was because, and I specifically remember this conversation in my living room talking to Amanda and Sam as we were going over the expectations of the role and all that stuff, and it was I said, I need to turn the stage lights off. I have to. Like, I'm tired of always feeling like I have to be on, because that is the expectation of me. Like, that's why people call me, because I'm always on. Do you disagree?
I think that's what you believe the expectation is.
I don't think people expect me to be human in the work capacity.
I think that's your expectation.
Yeah.
I don't think it's theirs.
Yeah. I don't feel that way. Team meetings, listing appointments, clients, like, I feel like the expectation is that I am always on point 24/7.
Now, so I agree in the sense of, so just like me, right? If I'm coaching and I show up to coach, if I show up to lead a class, I absolutely think that they should be able to expect me at the top of my game. Because even like that class that I blew, in hindsight, because remember, as part of the reason I blew it is because there's so much of it, and I'm so excited about it, and I can do this, and I'll just, right? In hindsight, but I had said I would be ready by Wednesday. In hindsight, I would have said, hey, Harrison, I know that I said that we were going to do this Wednesday. My brain is still, there's too many. I need you to either walk me through, so help me, with this, or I need to push that till next Wednesday. and we need to do something else here.
Yeah.
So that's because there are absolutely times, and if you're coach with me, I'm pretty open about this, but there are times when I will say, hey, like I'll have my assistant or myself will contact you and say, hey, Alivia needs to reschedule today. Sometimes that is, I'm legit sick. Sometimes it is, I know that I'm going to show up to that coaching call for nothing to do with you necessarily, but whatever. I'm not in the right mental state to have in-depth conversations or be in a creator space with you. I would rather reschedule than have to waste your money. You're paying a lot of time. You're paying a lot of money in exchange for my time.
Yeah.
So I will do that. Now, and I've also had, just like we did with the class that went through, I've also not done that when I first started coaching, because in my mind, like, I thought I was going to show up. Like, I told you the story of, I was prepping for a sprint triathlon, and I discovered during that, I was biking and I was running, but I hadn't started swimming. And I started swimming, and I quickly discovered that I'm scared of water.
Yeah.
But because I said I was going to go, I'm legit. So I got a swim coach, the whole bit, but I couldn't make it all the way across the pool at the wellness center, even though I could touch the ground with my face, in the water, right? But I still, because I said I would, I still got in my car, packed up, and I'm heading to the beach to do the sprint triathlon. My plan at that point was, I'm going to drown. But when I get there, I'm going to let the people.
My plan was to drown?
Yeah. My plan was, I was like, when I get there, I'm going to go find the people in the boats and let them know that odds are I'm not going to make it. I need you to be looking for me, because when I flip over and turn on my back, because I'm also scared of the ocean. I said, you're going to, that was my plan. Because in that moment, it was like, but I said. Where, again, in hindsight, I should have said, hey, guys, I discovered something about myself from that time that I said.
Triathlons are for me.
Well, or at least not until I'm more comfortable in the water. Because it wasn't that I wasn't putting in the work.
Yeah.
I legit discovered that I have a phobia of putting my face in the water. So.
You could have doggy paddled.
That's right. No, I can doggy paddle, but I ain't going to work in the ocean very long, right?
Yeah.
And so, so this was but I was, so in the past, I would feel that way, I have to show up. And then I would show up, do shit on the call, and then have to call that client back that afternoon and go, hey, I want you to, can you imagine that you have an Etch-a-Sketch? And will you shake it? Because I want you to forget everything about that call, and I owe you another call. I still think at some point in the future that's going to happen, because we're human, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
But now I set the proper expectations, and I'll have those conversations with people prior to. So if you notice, and he and Connor and I had this conversation. So because we've been working together for 6 months, even though you and I are really close, in my head, it was, I have to do this because I said it, and I'll show up. And sometimes in the middle of it, you don't realize that's what you're living into. Where in hindsight, I would have legit said, there's so many different paths. There's so many. I did not give myself enough time. We need to switch horses, or it's not gonna be good. And you would have either said, do this, do that, or whatever. But odds are you'd have been like, hey, dude, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't.
Because I was putting the work in. But that's the thing sometimes. So your mindset, you're like, I've got to and I do think that you got to show up. But I also think that whenever there have been days where you said, hey guys, I'm not going to be at that meeting, or I think people are okay with that.
Yeah.
You now have to get okay with, it may actually not be the best use of my time to be there.
I feel guilty.
Oh, hell yeah, me too.
I feel super guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something we got to work through, but
I hate preaching show up, and then I'm the one that doesn't show up. Now, what they don't realize is that I asked them to go to 1 to 2 meetings a week, and I'm in 3 to 5 meetings a day.
It is also, I think it's not to compare the two. Yeah. It is because there are sometimes, so there was an agent on the team that I knew she was going through some stuff, and I reached out to her and I said, and she was going on vacation, and she was like, it was like the expectation was she was to go there and work, and I said, look, and I've had this conversation with you sometimes, where you need to go on vacation, where I'm like, look, for all it's worth, I'm giving you permission to give yourself permission to just be in the moment at the beach. Yeah. Don't do that. Don't, you're not in the mind space. I said, so just, and you said, deal with the family thing, do that. I said, that way, when you come back on Monday, you can legit be back on Monday and go all in. I said, but like, you gotta like just disconnect for a minute. And when she came back, she said, that was such a great, she said, I had so much guilt and beating myself up, like, to the, like, making herself sick about all that. Mm-hmm. And so she was like, I needed that other voice to kind of go, like, it's okay. Mm-hmm. 1 week, and then and she did. She came back up and running, but it's the difference of who in your world is speaking into, like, or are you letting them know, like, hey, I feel really guilty about that. Is that a legit show up, or is there, because there's patterns and everything. But I think too, giving herself permission to say, like, yes, I feel guilty about that, but am I going to show up my best? How can I just let them know, hey guys, I'm tired. I wouldn't show up my best for you guys. Mm-hmm. So, and then in return, giving them permission, like, yes, my expectation is you are at these meetings. Yeah. If something is going on, and not just, like legit, let me know, hey, I will absolutely reach out to somebody and get any notes. But I'm even on Zoom, I'm just not in a headspace today. I think it's okay. Now, again, if it's all the time, that's a different conversation.
That's one thing, right? But if you show up day in, day out, month after month, and then you're having a bad week, like, sometimes, like you said, attitudinally, if you're having a bad day, sometimes it's better just to take it home.
That's right.
Because if you don't, you'll bleed all over everybody who had nothing to do with the situation.
And it makes it last longer. Yeah. Because like, if we do things out of guilt, we do things out of, like, now you're living with it longer. It just lasts way longer than if you could go, you know what, really what's going on is I'm so freaking tired. A good example, mom had been in the hospital. Mm-hmm. One night we were at they had given me a chair about as like comfortable to sleep on as what we're sitting on right now. And these are fine to sit on, but you ain't sleeping on them. And I pride myself that I can sleep anywhere, but I couldn't get on the floor. It's the hospital, right? All that. So, I stayed up for 24 hours. My brother came up and he, the next day, and he gave me a break. I went home. I did some things. That's when you actually talked to me. I slept for a couple hours and I go back up. Then we're in the hospital for like a week. We come home and we have family coming to help and do stuff. And very much with the best of intention. And I wanted them to be there with mom. And I had gotten to the point where my brother, Melvin, asked me a question. Was just a legit blah, blah, blah. And I started to answer it. And I went, Melvin, there was nothing wrong with you asking me that question. But the way that I'm feeling right now, I said, everything anybody's asking me, I'm just like, I'm snapping. Yeah. And I said, so it's not about you. I'm just so freaking tired. Mm-hmm. And then, so my brother and his wife, they drove all the way from Alabama. Mm-hmm. They walked in the house and I said, guys, I love you. And I do. But y'all be with mama. And I went and I took myself to bed because I knew even with them, if I didn't get some sleep, I was going to blow up some stuff. Yeah. And it had nothing to do with them. I was just tired. Yeah. And then so I would either blown up some stuff or or if I would have like reined it in and been nice to everybody for 5 more hours till it was, it would have taken me, instead of that 3, 4, 5, 3 hour nap, it could have taken me a whole week to recover because it would just continue to drain energy.
To the point where you're like, hey, I need to shut down. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's real.
And so, but for years and years ago, I wouldn't have done that because I felt like people would have judged me. And now I'm like, no. Hi, you might judge me, but you don't want to see that. And I don't want to show up as that. So I'm going to go take a nap. Mm-hmm. Love you. Yeah. I'll be right back.
I have to excuse myself from situations sometimes. For sure.
Everybody does. And I think we have to continue to learn how to do that without beating herself up for it. And again, like I had conversations with them. I let them know, hey, I'm going to go in here. I'm not because I don't want you here, but because I got to recharge. Mm-hmm. And so I think giving yourself permission and having those expectation conversations with your team to say, there are going to be times that we're going to have a meeting and I'm not going to be there. And I will address it. I will, whatever. But that's the other reason why you have built these amazing people. Because if you're not there, Amy knows what to lead it. I know what to lead it. You can still provide them great value. And it's hard to accept that at first because we do feel so guilty.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's been the most wonderful thing about the organization is it is starting to become less and less about me and more about what we've built. And that's actually what I want. It's not supposed to be Harrison. It's supposed to be Amy. It's supposed to be Amanda. It's supposed to be you. So I'm thankful for the direction that has happened and the freedom that it has given me because, I'm not as chained to a job description as I used to be. And I've enjoyed that. And I'm looking forward to the changes. I got 7 more days and I'm handing over some reins, not the reins, but some reins.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get some time back to help grow the company and do things that are just in my goal book.
Well, so I'm glad you said that because this is so look guys, so we got some new THLT merch, new level unlocked. I didn't tell you this. The reason that you got the shirt, because I'm only handing them out to a few people.
Oh, did I earn the shirt?
You earned the shirt.
Oh, I thought it was just because it had my name on it. I got it.
Nope. You earned the shirt because we look at new level unlocked because there was a hire that you needed to make, and you made it. That's your next level unlocked.
Yeah.
So,
because I actually see the path to our next business cycle. So for years, there's a business cycle if you're not familiar with it. And the first one is like you're the solopreneur, you getting revenue inside your company or whatever it is. And it's, if you watch Grant Cardone or Dan Martell, they pretty much teach the same thing about where those numbers are because I believe they're statistically true. And so you have your $300,000 company, you have your $2 to $3 million company, and then it jumps. It goes to $10 million. I have not successfully raised a company over $2 to $3 million. But I believe, I think it's actually we're on the cusp of that. I think that next year, if I can keep it together, because I do notice that I am actually, for the first time in my life in the company, I almost feel like the weak link. We can talk about that later. But maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I don't know. I see the trajectory of the company. Like I see us turning from a $2 to $3 million real estate team to a $5 to $6 million real estate team within the next 12 months. I think in another 12 months, if we continue to run the play and continue to do what we do and all that, I believe I will actually see a $10 million THLT. I believe with the plays we're making in the roofing company, we're already a $4 million company there. I believe we're going to see within the next 18 months, I think we're going to see a 2x growth. I think we'll be an $8 million company. I think within the next 3 years, we'll be a $3 to $12 million company. I think within 5 years, I think that company will actually probably double anything that THLT will do. We all got to keep our heads on straight and master the art of getting over ourselves quickly. So I haven't done that yet, and I believe that because of these changes, and guys, I'm going to give Alivia, her props here, is that I don't know that I would have made all these changes as aggressively and as quickly, nor had the opportunity to do so had it not been for Alivia Consulting inside our company. And so that's probably my biggest thanks that I could give you is you opening that door to what is possible and how do we've been stuck in the same cycle for 3 years, $2 to $3 million every year. And guys, while I live a comfortable life, like we talked about year one, like, yes, I made it. And then year two is like, we're still there. We're doing good. Year three, all right, this is cool. Year four, like, there's got to be more. And that's where I'm at. There's got to be more because I don't want to be here. I don't care if I don't make any more money. I'll give them money away. That doesn't mean anything to me. It's about growing and helping other people find opportunity and, just building something that didn't hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you got your shirt.
Hey, why'd Connor get a shirt?
Yeah. So Connor. Yeah, so because he was here and I thought, no. So Connor, will you poke your head around? I think everybody needs to see you real quick. Yeah, and he's super tall, so this is
Connor, the Cajun Asian.
Yeah. So Connor, thank you very much. This is Connor, guys. So Connor, you got your shirt. I can't see you now. You got your shirt because you've stepped up from everything. Like he comes on weekends to give some time to us.
Mm-hmm.
when, we say, hey, we're going to drop the podcast on Thursdays, they're out on Thursdays. The only reason the last one wasn't out till today is because this one held it out. So those types of things. And like I said, and on Friday you showed up. And so now we have, and then the other, stepping it up is, I now have, cost from him in order to help other people shoot videos and things like that within the company. So
Connor's getting to make more money.
Yeah.
So, Connor's like, I like this.
I said, hey, I'm listening.
I'll say, hell yeah, brother.
Yes. That's right.
Does she? Yeah. She's going to get to see your baby boy on camera.
Yes. But yeah, and even so the conversation, Connor and I had a conversation Friday, when we were in the, when I was waiting to show, or waiting for people to come, we had set up prior to, and we're waiting for everybody to come in at 11. And, he had some conversations about our last week about that, podcast, and he had some encouraging words, and it's the whole, I see, and I don't know if you're just getting more comfortable with me or growing in your thought process or all of the above, but it was really cool to see him having that high level of conversation. So you got a shirt. And then Monday we're going to give some more of these shirts out to particular people.
I hope you got the right sizes, because those are a very limited bag I dug through.
Yes. So in my head...
Also, these fit a little snuggy snug.
Yeah, but aren't they soft?
They are soft.
Yes.
They're really soft.
And speaking of which, Rob
Knight
is the one... Rob Knight are the one that made these shirts. He was super cool, because I talked to somebody else prior to, and I probably had shirts made twice in my entire life. And they were asking questions that I didn't understand, and kind of being not so kind of an assy about it. And it's very rare for me not to like people's customer service.
Yeah.
But I didn't love it.
No, Rob's a super nice guy.
Well, with Rob, and because I didn't even think about Rob at first with the shirts, and I saw something Jamie, his wife, had posted. And I was like, oh, so I reached out to Rob. Rob not only made sure, because I was very picky about I wanted the shirts to feel a little way, but I didn't know what to call that. He helped me walk through that. I sent him what I wanted this to look like from another photo. He did it and sent it back. He very helpful to walk through that whole process, even to the point where he drove up to me to make sure they brought me the different shirts, told me about them, let me feel them and touch them. And so great customer service, and then right time frame, the whole bit, and a great price. So Rob, if you're looking for some merch. So but anyway, so I'm super excited about that. And then we're going to figure out how to get some more merch for people that are watching our show so they can rep.
We could start a Let's Go podcast merch brand.
Well, so,
I actually need to introduce you to something. Do you remember Mark Simpson? One arm team leader.
Yeah.
I love Mark.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. He's got a great story about his arm. You heard how the alligator bit it off and all that?
That's not true, though.
I know, but he tells it
okay.
you believe it. He told it.
I was like, wait, that's not true.
Oh my God. And then he told us the real truth, but it was good.
So he called me the other day. He wanted some coaching from me, which I was honored to do because Mark is, he's a good dude. He's definitely one of those people who have helped me. And so we went over everything, and I gave him all the information. And I was like, hey, and once you hire those people, if you want them to hop on some of my Zoom calls, do some script and role play with us, I said, I'm happy to do that. It's absolutely free. Just want to repay everything you've done for me. And he went, wow, you'd really do that? And I was like, I mean, you're in Florida, dude. You ain't competing with me over here.
Yeah.
Now you come start an expansion team in Monroe. I might have a few words with you about brah.
Yeah.
But no, it actually, it led to a really cool conversation. He's like, you ever thought about doing an expansion team over here? I was like, I mean, I have to find, it's always about the who for me. If the who is there, he's like, am I a who? And I was like,
maybe.
You are 100% somebody that I would go into business with, because I believe he has massive integrity. I've just never seen him out of integrity. I think he always tells the truth. He has great hard conversations. He's always managed his money well. I like being in business with people who know how to manage their money, because that means they won't mismanage mine, if that makes sense. They have a respect for it. So anyway, that was a really cool conversation. And then we talked about some stuff with our podcast and like the influencing and stuff like that. And he introduced me to a concept. I need to give it to you because I told him I didn't think it was for me at this time, just don't have time for it. But I think it's more up your alley. And then another friend of mine she's an influencer for a living. She's making great money online. And I think it'd be something she'd be interested in. So I was going to introduce y'all to Mark, and hopefully y'all can all make some money together.
Yep. And I'm a huge fan of Mark, and that's something tomorrow night I'm taking you out to dinner or bringing dinner, and we're going to talk about some of those things around.
It's a Monday night.
Fun. Yeah.
The good restaurants aren't open on Mondays. You're going to get off cheap.
Anything you want off the 99-cent menu, boy. That's for you.
Yeah. I don't even have that anymore. 6 nuggies from. Yes. I was really hungry the other day, and so I just went to the first restaurant I saw was Wendy's, and I just got in there, and it was like 6 of those little cheap plastic nuggets, like $2.80. I'm like, we have just inflated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, last piece. So we were talking about for the next 3 to 6 months. So obviously the group that broke down, because we're right here at time. So the group that we broke down, that's number one. The other piece is most of, or a lot of, our training is going to be online. So when a new agent comes in, so Amy and Jade.
That's one of the things I'm really looking forward to.
And even the ISA piece. We just hired a new ISA. I'm working with Megan. We're going to get all that. So you get in person, and you have that backup.
You have training modules.
So that's going to be the next thing in the 6 months.
That's one of the most important things to me, as this is my last week before I lose one of my reins, and it is to be able to start documenting our systems better. Like our onboarding, like I just have this vision for what that would look like. And, like, hey, this is like, you'll be on there, Amy will be on there, Jade will be on there, I'll be on there. And then they had we're going to go over our commission splits, go over everything with them. And now they're taking tests at the end of each module, not tests, but just like, hey, did you pay attention?
Did you get this thing that you need to get? Because otherwise it will bite us all, you, me, us in the butt. So this is the interesting thing. So Amy has that. And then I've come in and hopefully she thinks I've plussed it with the 100-day plan. And then this is going to plus it. So this is the cool thing about hiring great people. I believe that all the things that are in your head right now, probably 50 to 75% of that is already happening. And then you're going to throw that in. It's going to plus it even more. And then it's all going to be. So that's the really cool thing about when you bring in the right people. That they already have those.
Yeah. And I just feel like it's going to bring that agent from day 1 to day 90
quicker.
Way quicker. I feel like we can get them there in 3 weeks, right? And that's the part. And it's hey, did we talk to you about that? I know that we just brought on some agents, and one of the things I want to talk to them about is our marketing partners. I'm like, I don't think anybody's had that conversation with them.
And it is now in that 100-day thing where who do you talk to? What do you need to do? All that stuff. But yes, I 100% agree. Because even if you think about anybody that's ever started with an organization before, it doesn't matter how great the organization is. At the beginning, there's so much information that you're getting, and then we want to give that to you, but then you can kind of get overwhelmed. So it's like, how do we break that down so that you get it, and you have an ability to come back and go, okay, they said all that, and then this is the piece that I can go deeper. This is the piece I can go deeper. This is the piece I can go deeper in person, online, and all of those pieces. So yeah,
I like it.
That's it.
All right, I have a meeting I have to go to, guys. And so this is Let's Go, episode 17. I woke up. I'm not sleeping anymore. The first half of this thing, I'm going to tell you, I almost just took my headset off about 15 minutes in and went, Alivia, we're bombing right now.
Yeah.
I think the second half of this thing got better.
Yeah.
I woke up.
Well, and not only that, but look, this is how tired we were. At the beginning, we were like, okay, let's go. And neither one of us had headsets on. We were just like,
yeah.
So I did tell Daniel that last week you said that y'all's high five was better. Last week we practiced it on camera. So this is our next time.
This works.
And so I think because I'm right-handed, you're right-handed, so we got to come this way.
I'm left-handed.
You're left-handed. Oh, but now we're both righty. So which one's better for you?
That feels awkward.
Feels awkward.
I can do this. I can. Yay! That was pretty good.
Okay.
Let's go. Why did I do that? Why did I do that?
Hi, you're
Cut that. Woo! Yeah, I was trying to do this, and it just came out like this, and that didn't.
No, we've got to keep it. But that was he was doing this. It's not. Look, his fingers are even tired.
And it's hard. Holy shit. Y'all have a great day.
That's hilarious.
That was a